Rebels had captured Banjul, the capital. They had taken over the airport and the radio station, and also held Jawara's wife and family hostage.
It was very vicious, and they were saying to us, don't go in, they'll kill you. And it was an electric atmosphere. You could feel there were barricades in the street, the shops were ruined, they were looted.
Jawara rushed back to his own country, but before he left, he asked the British government for help. The Senegalese army had already been mobilized and were now engaged in fierce street fighting around the capital. The British responded rather differently. They sent in 2 SAS men, dressed as civilians, to observe and advise on the situation. They had with them a diplomatic bag full of weapons and explosives, should the need arise. Soon, this mysterious pair were having an effect. Somehow, they began arresting the rebels themselves and dumping them at the Senegalese army's door. The rebels had no idea who had captured them, and neither did the Senegalese.
The Senegalese commander said, I believe it's some of your people, which I took to mean white, British army, presumably undercover. This pathetic band of men kept nearly half the Senegalese army at bay for nearly 2 days. They and their colleagues fought off from this base the full might of the Senegalese sent down from Dakar by land, sea and air. This is where the rebellion started a week ago, and this is where it ended. There was just one man in the armory, and they happened to be near a television cameraman at the time, and in no time at all, he just looked at us and he said, no effing pictures. And that was that. It was clearly SAS men.
The SAS's main concern was the rebels' key hostage, Lady Jawara. The president's wife had spent a week locked in a tiny office with 18 children. When her small baby became ill, she was admitted to the Medical Research Council, the MRC, that was being run by a British doctor. He agreed to meet the 2 SAS men outside.
They said that they had come to rescue Lady Jawara, and would I help them to do that? And the High Commissioner was in the room at the same time that this conversation was going on. And of course that put me into quite a difficult position.
Because?
Well, because we had established some sort of working relationships with the insurgent group who they had been protecting the MRC compound, and I didn't want to break that trust. But the threat was there. They were going to rescue Lady Jawara anyhow, and they would use force if necessary to do that.
Pretending to be medical staff, the 2 SAS men entered the compound with Dr. Greenwood.
The officer was hard. I got the impression he was very determined what he was going to do. The problem was that it left me and it left the MRC at risk, because they then disappeared. We didn't see them again. We were still in rebel territory. And it is possible that the rebels could then have taken their vengeance out on the MRC staff and on me.
After the coup, the doctors complained to the Foreign Office that in forcing them to take part in the rescue, the SAS had compromised their neutrality. This accusation had serious repercussions. When they returned, both SAS men were threatened with a court-martial, but a dramatic intervention prevented it. According to military sources, when Mrs. Thatcher heard about the SAS's role, she personally intervened. Instead of getting rid of them, she suggested that they should be decorated. The SAS had succeeded in bringing an early end to the coup, released the key hostage without bloodshed, and President Jawara himself was happy. This might have worked in the Gambia, away from the eyes of the world's media, but when the SAS took matters into their own hands in Europe,